Welcome back to Known and Trusted. I'm Anna Sonoda, and today we're wrapping up our four-part series on grooming as a perverse courtship. If you've been with me through the first three parts, intentional, incremental, and selective, you've already felt how grooming isn't one shocking, obvious moment. It's a slow, strategic narrowing of space around a specific child. Today, in part four, we're talking about what might be the most empowering piece of all, observable. Because when you know what to look for, grooming is not invisible. It's detectable. It's observable. And you can intervene long before a child is harmed. This episode is about learning what to watch for, how to watch it unfold in the adult or older child who's grooming, and in the child who's being groomed. I want you to leave this episode with a clarity, confidence, and a checklist you can return to again and again. Let's get started. Grooming is opportunistic. Predators absolutely use whatever opening they find. Vacations, holidays, changes in routines, overnights, access to kids through sports, religious institutions, schools, or even moments when parents are tired, distracted, or overwhelmed. But opportunistic does not mean random. Opportunistic simply means they don't waste chances. The strategy is always there. The pattern is always there. And most importantly, the observable behaviors that set them apart are also there. Once you understand the pattern, you can see it forming. And once you see it, you can stop it. What you can observe in the adult. This is where I want to slow it down and anchor us in real lived experience. I once worked with a mother, let's call her Erin, who told me it didn't feel wrong. It felt flattering. Her daughter's coach started showing special attention, offering extra one-on-one time, asking about family dynamics, texting her daughter to check in. He framed it as mentorship. On paper, nothing looked criminal. But from the outside, if she had known the signs, it would have been clear. They chose her child, not the entire team. They escalated the attention. They created pockets of privacy, and they bypassed her as the parent. That's grooming. That's observable, building behaviors. This is when the adult starts shaping how the child sees them, giving them a role. You're so mature. You're so special. You understand me. Forming a secret bond, positioning themselves as the person who understands the child best. These are not ordinary mentoring dynamics. They're role assignment behaviors. You'll see tangible shifts in who the child relies on. I only want them to help me. Don't tell my mom, she'll worry. They're just easier to talk to. A predator needs the child to believe they need them. That's observable. Boundary testing with the parent. A grooming adult will often linger too long, overcompliment, take pictures without asking, joke about bending rules, ask about your schedule, stress level, or how busy you are to test whether you'll stand firm. A mother once said to me, she always acted like our family's chaos was a good thing, like she could help lighten the load. And that is exactly what grooming adults do. They want to know when you're tired, stretched thin, or in need of help, disrespecting or undermining other adults. An enormous red flag is any behavior that positions the adult as safer than the parent, smarter than teachers, more understanding than peers. Predators isolate socially long before they isolate physically. Excessive generosity or access giving. This can look incredibly benign. Buying small gifts, offering rides, free tutoring or babysitting, helping with sports skill development, offering to watch them anytime. Ask yourself, is this proportional to the relationship, or is it disproportionate access? Surveillance behaviors. Yes, surveillance. Groomers watch parents closely to find openings. Parents often miss this because it doesn't look harmful, but it's incredibly observable when you know what to see. Watch how you discipline, listening for what you argue about, noticing when you're overwhelmed, tracking their routines, asking subtle questions about where your child sleeps, whom they trust, whom they talk to. Predators study families, and noticing that is one of the most protective things you can do. What you can observe in your child. Let's flip the lens now. Children often communicate in behaviors, not words, not because they don't want to tell you, but because they're often confused, conflicted, or scared. Here's what's observable, supported by decades of research, clinical practice, and child welfare interviews. Behavioral changes. These may include withdrawing from family or friends, sudden clinginess, sudden maturity beyond their years, irritability, changes in sleep patterns, unexplained nervousness or anxiety around specific people. Research consistently shows that behavioral shifts are one of the earliest detectable signs of grooming and abuse. Even before a child has language for what's happening, secrecy that isn't typical for their age. Every child becomes private as they grow and mature, but secrecy in grooming has a distinct shape. Deleting messages, hiding interactions, refusing to talk about someone who used to be familiar, or the opposite, talking constantly about someone who's suddenly amazing and incredible. The secrecy isn't developmental, it's induced. Guilt or loyalty conflicts. If a child says things like, "You'll be mad if you find out," "They said you don't like them," "They're just trying to help," "I don't want them to get into trouble," that is a red flag. That is not normal peer conflict. That sounds like pressure. Age-inappropriate knowledge or behaviors. This does not always mean sexual behavior. It may be overly adult emotional caretaking, complex relational secrets, knowledge about someone's relationship or marriage, vocabulary or tone that mimics an adult who shouldn't be shaping them. Push-pull dynamics. A child may defend the adult intensely and then be suddenly irritable or withdrawn around them, then seek their attention again. This ambivalence is extremely common in grooming victims. It's observable if you're watching for it. Let me offer a deeply personal clinical example that has stayed with me for years. A father once told me, "I didn't see it happening, and now that I know the signs, it was happening right in front of me." He wasn't negligent. He wasn't distracted. He wasn't naive. He simply hadn't been taught to recognize the selective targeting, the incremental escalation, the intentional role building, and now the observable formation of a private relationship. Grooming looks like connection until you know how to see the distortion. And once you learn the pattern, you can't unsee it. When and how to report. I want this part to be absolutely unambiguous. When should you report? You report when you have reasonable concern, not proof, concern. Report if an adult is testing limits with your child shows signs of being groomed, you've observed secrecy, loyalty conflicts, or sudden emotional or behavioral shifts, someone is pursuing disproportionate access, something feels off and you can't articulate it yet. In the child protection world, we say, report suspicion, not certainty. Who do you report to? Your state's Child Protective Services or equivalent agency. In every state, there is a 24-hour reporting hotline. Local law enforcement, especially if the risk is immediate. If the adult works with children, school administration, youth sports authority, church leadership, childcare licensing boards, professional oversight bodies or boards, if you're not sure, call any agency. They will help to direct you. How to report. You don't need a perfect script. Here's what you need. Number 1, name your concern. Hi, I'm worried an adult may be grooming my child. Number 2, say what you've observed. Concrete behaviors, not interpretations. Number 3, when did it happen? Give approximate dates to the best of your ability. Number 4, why you're concerned. I noticed secrecy, increased access, and emotional shifts in my child. Number 5, any immediate safety needs. That's it. You are not investigating. You are alerting so that they can do their job of investigating. So here's the distilled version for you listeners. Observable adult behaviors. Increase special attention. Role building. You're so special. Creating dependency. Disrespecting or ignoring parental rules. This can also apply to community rules or cultural expectations. Excessive generosity. Surveillance of the family and the family's dynamics. Repeated attempts to isolate the child. Observable behaviors in the child. Sudden behavioral changes. Induced secrecy. Loyalty conflicts. Age-inappropriate emotional roles or behaviors. A push-pull dynamic. Discomfort or clinginess around a specific person. This checklist should feel empowering, not frightening. Think of it like a flashlight in the dark. I'll end with this memory. A few years ago, a father in one of my cases told me, I thought grooming was something you couldn't see, something only uncovered afterward. Then he paused and said, now I realize it was happening in plain sight. I just didn't know what I was looking at. That conversation has shaped my entire career because the truth is, you can learn to see grooming. You can learn to interrupt it, and you can learn to protect the children you love. And you can do it without fear. As always, I want to leave you with the guiding words of this podcast. Show up, look up, speak up. And when the time comes, report. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present, aware, and willing to act. If you found this conversation grounding or clarifying, consider passing it to another parent, caregiver, coach, or grandparent in your world. We keep kids safest when more adults understand the signs, not just the professionals. I'm Anna Sonoda, and this has been part 4 of The Perverse Courtship That Is Grooming. Thank you for showing up with me. Until next time.